Bless up, everybody. Greetings to you all. I'm sending you this rose, and I hope that you will have a beautiful day. I'm coming to you this morning to share a vision with you. And I'm going to encourage you all to take note of your visions these days because it's the only way for the universe to communicate with you. As the child said, not because you're special, but because you are humble, because you're seeking answers. And so this is a mode of communication. I had a vision that I find very alarming. But we really shouldn't be alarmed when we see things, especially things to come. But you know the human nature, especially when you understand the significance of it. Now in this dream or vision, I am in the hills, way up in the hills, and what looks like a communal setting, you know, all these people up in the hills, away from the city. But what is interesting about the dream is that there are all these outhouses. So just imagine, all I see is outhousing. Sorry, yeah, outhouse. If you are from Jamaica, you call it toilet, latrine, the old type of toilets outside of the household. They're perched on the hill throughout the entire place where I was traveling in the spirit. And every one of these outhouses, excuse my tongue tie, was filled with people groaning and moaning. And when you look, a huge group of people just walking in the hills looking for a vacant toilet. Everybody having the big D. Now, that's it. It's just a quick vision. See, usually when you're awake and you're seeing something and it flashes before your eyes, you call that a vision. And when you sleep, you get dreams. But it's like a vision because it happens so fast. It's almost like, a quick flash of this scenario. And of course, I was also looking for a toilet, except I didn't want to use it for the purpose that everybody else was using it. And so I was able to utilize some outdoor place in the bush. And I was watching people sick. And from that, I gather that there is a new disorder on the rise. It probably didn't happen yet, but it's about to happen, where the side effect would be people suffering from diarrhea. Excuse the bluntness. I mean, imagine having a dream or a vision where people are just panicking, trying to find a place to release themselves. People grunting and moaning. And so I'm assuming that this is going to be a new disorder or a side effect from some of these issues that we're now facing in the world. It's man-made, although people are going to try to make it into something else, especially us Black people. Every time man would intend to do a particular thing, we always find a way to blame it on God and say God is doing this. And, if people, especially African people, if we really listen to ourselves, we would realize that we're really drinking the lemonade, drinking that Kool-Aid, to say that this God seems to have a thing out for us. If there's a natural disaster, it finds the African people or the poor people of the world. if there's famine and pestilence, you best believe it's going to find the poor people of the world or the African people of the world. Just can't seem to get a break. For 500 years or more, Black people was under this kind of bondage, and the misinformation and the religious indoctrination has rendered us helpless and useless in so many ways. But we don't want to change. We don't want to see the truth in front of us. We just want to continue to drink the quenchade and the lemonade. Thing is in your face. Anyway, I'm encouraging you all to write down your dreams and pay attention to it. But do not write it down if it's negative. If it affects or impacts you in a very negative way, do not write it down, because what you'll be doing is sealing your fate by doing that. And so in this case, I'm not going to write it down, but I'm speaking it. I'm declaring it as something to come, that very soon we're going to have a new problem, because man will never rest until their intention is fulfilled. Man will make sure that even the things that are within the scriptures are fulfilled. Keep in mind, you got people who are of the mindset that you plan 100 years ahead, and planning and leaving that map for the next generation to follow. This is why there are things happening in the scripture that, even though we understand it's how many hundreds of years old, it's still manifesting, because it's a map, it's a guide. And so the people are going to make sure they carry out the intention of the forefathers, not my forefathers, theirs. Scripture is profitable and useful and represents levities of the past. But you best believe that it is also that tool that was used in slavery, and the same tool that's being used now. But people are not thinking, you're not realizing that, wait a minute, at one point this was bad, and now you can't say anything about that thing. So why do you have to now disregard or dismiss that thing that you were indoctrinated with? And now if you say it, you're punished for it. So that's why you can't use the scripture as the only guide. You have to find other ways to channel the truth. Everything that you see happening here is no coincidence. Everything is carefully worked out. Everything is mapped out. I'm going to conclude with this. I was in a cab going about my business, and the driver really pissed me off, because to be honest with you, these days I gotta be pushing it down, I gotta hold it down, but the lid flies off whenever a topic comes up, a certain topic. Bless you. You can't even sneeze these days. If you got an allergy, you better hold that down. Sneezing right now publicly is kind of dangerous for me. Anyway, in the cab, the man was talking nonsense to me, and I had to put him in his place, and I'm asking him, are you insane? Do you see all these houses for sale? People are losing their livelihood. People are losing their homes. A lot of us are in this together, and it has nothing to do with race. Poor people and people of color and whatever. It doesn't matter. People are losing their lives, and you are part of the problem. Is your complacency and your nonsense, and you being out here polarizing yourself against each other with this BS. And I explained to him that the prisons are filled with black and brown people, Hispanic people. I didn't even know he was Hispanic. It turned out that he was. I said, is this a time for you to be coming on to me and stressing me out with your BS? This is not the time for us to be stressing each other out. We're supposed to be bonding. We're supposed to be growing. We're supposed to be awakening together and know the agenda. Step